the Sterling Heights assembly plant, where they have dozens upon dozens of highly priced pickups sitting unshipped and unsold.
Right now, America's car lots have become graveyards. Brand new models are sitting unsold for over a year, even after dealers slash $20,000, $30,000, sometimes $40,000 off the price. These are 10 cars dying on dealer lots right now, and why buyers won't touch them. Number 10. BMW i7 Electric Flagship Collapse. BMW rolled out the i7 to show the world it could beat Tesla and Lucid at their own game. Instead, its electric flagship is turned into a showroom ghost ship. Across the US, about 1,650 brand new i7s are gathering dust. Some have sat so long their warranties are literally ticking down before a buyer even drives them off the lot. Dealers have a 578-day supply. That's nearly 2 full years of unsold stock, and they're chopping more than $30,000 off the sticker price just to move one. Still, customers aren't buying. Why? Start with the numbers. At $128,648 MSRP, buyers expect top-tier range and cutting-edge tech. Instead, they see an EPA rating 318 miles, less than Tesla's Model S or Lucid's Air, both of which cost tens of thousands less. For someone spending 6 figures, good enough range feels like an insult. Then there's the styling. BMW has always pushed bold kidney grills, but the i7's front end has been mocked as if it's trying to swallow its competition. Walk around it and you'll notice a car that seems built by committee. Flashy lighting, layers of trim, and an interior crammed with gadgets. Some love it, most don't. When shoppers sit inside, they get the sense BMW tried to impress everyone at once and pleased no one. It doesn't help that time kills excitement. Every month those unsold cars sit, the depreciation clock keeps ticking. Buyers know a fresh 2024 i7 is already a used car in everything but name. They're waiting for deeper discounts or simply moving on to brands that feel hotter and more reliable in the EV space. One frustrated dealer summed it up. "We can't give these away. Our i7s have been on the lot so long their warranties are expiring." That's not hyperbole, it's happening. A warranty countdown before delivery is a nightmare pitch for a luxury customer. For shoppers, the lesson is clear. This was supposed to be BMW's electric future, but right now the i7 looks like a 2-year depreciation time bomb. Unless the company slashes prices even further or refreshes the car quickly, the i7 risks going down as one of BMW's most expensive misfires. But BMW's electric flagship is already sinking. Wait until you see what happens when they try to build a $159,000 Halo SUV. Number 9. BMW XM Performance SUV Disaster. BMW billed the XM as its boldest statement yet. A $159,000 performance SUV built to crown the M division. Instead, it's become a rolling cautionary tale. Across US dealer lots, a staggering 544-day supply is sitting still. That's about 18 months of inventory. In Q3 of 2024, BMW moved just 307 units nationwide. Numbers so low you'd expect from a boutique supercar, not a supposed Halo SUV. Walk up to one and you understand why shoppers hesitate. The XM's face is dominated by what critics call nostrils on steroids, a supersized version of BMW's already polarizing kidney grills. The proportions don't help either. Chunky rear, narrow windows, and an awkward stance that makes it look like 3 different vehicles welded together. Designed to signal power and exclusivity, it instead reads like midlife crisis in sheet metal. Insiders say this mismatch was baked in from the start. Designers reportedly pitched sleeker, more cohesive concepts. Executives pushed back, insisting on something youthful and aggressive that could lure high-end buyers out of Lamborghinis and Bentleys. The result is a 6-figure SUV that manages to alienate traditional BMW loyalists while failing to excite the exotic car crowd. And for $159,000, there's no room for maybe. Buyers in that bracket can choose a Porsche, Cayenne, Turbo GT. a Lamborghini Urus, or even an all-electric Rivian R1S and still feel they're getting cutting-edge performance or catch it. The XM may deliver brute horsepower on paper, but its clunky styling, heavy weight, and confused identity make it feel like a compromise no one asked for. The impact on dealers is brutal. One described the XM as lot art in real time, a piece customers gawk at but never buy. High interest rates and sky-high monthly payments only make things worse. Even deep discounts barely move the needle, because the XM's reputation is already settled. Overpriced, overstyled, and underdesired. For most vehicles, sales this bad would trigger an immediate discontinuation, yet BMW is trying to save face, marketing the XM as rare and exclusive. Buyers aren't fooled. For now, the XM stands as a symbol of what happens when a brand's confidence outpaces its customers' taste. A $159,000 SUV that nobody seems to want. If BMW's $159,000 SUV can't get a second glance, imagine what happens when a tiny Italian EV tries to win over American highways. Number 8. Fiat 500e, the invisible EV. The Fiat 500e was supposed to be the comeback story for a brand that vanished from most American driveways years ago. Instead, it's become the single most rejected EV in the country, with a 558-day supply clogging dealer lots and 1,140 unsold units gathering dust. Even with aggressive discounts, buyers act like it doesn't exist. On paper, the 500e seems charming. A retro-styled city car with a $34,000 sticker and a hint of European flair. But in the real world of American roads, it feels like a fish out of water. The entire car is just 142 inches long, shorter than some golf carts, and its 149-mile range lags behind even budget EVs from Chevy or Nissan. One auto journalist summed it up perfectly. Driving the 500e on a US highway feels like a golf cart through a monster truck rally. Fiat doubled down on style and nostalgia, but forgot about scale and practicality. In Europe, where streets are tight and distances short, the 500e is a sensible urban runabout. In America, it's a stress test. Owners report constant range anxiety on commutes and a feeling of vulnerability next to SUVs and semis. Buyers who want small and electric can pick a Chevy Bolt EUV, with far more space and range for similar money. Those who want style can find used Minis or even Tesla Model 3s creeping into the same price bracket. Dealers are frustrated. One confided, "We've got 500Es that have been sitting so long they need their tires inflated every month." That's not hyperbole. The earliest arrivals are aging on the lot, warranties ticking down before a single test drive. Marketing efforts to brand it as exclusive or eco-chic have fallen flat, and desperate price cuts still can't fill a showroom with prospects. For shoppers, this invisibility is both a warning and an opportunity. Yes, you can score a huge discount on a brand new electric car with Italian flair, but you're also stepping into a model that has already bombed so hard, its future support is questionable. The 500e shows what happens when an automaker imports a city car into a country built for interstates. It simply disappears. From the most rejected EV in the country, we jump to a flagship that used to be the king of executive sedans. Number 7. BMW 7 Series Flagship Sedan Albatross. For decades, the BMW 7 Series defined the ultimate executive sedan. If you wanted discreet power, cutting-edge tech, and that unmistakable Bavarian drive feel, this was the car. Today, though, it's turned into a slow-moving anchor on dealer lots. Across the country, there's a 517-day supply, about a year and a half of inventory, with 2,800 cars sitting unsold. Even deep cuts of $25,000 or more off the sticker aren't enough to get them off the ground. What went wrong? Start with the styling. BMW gambled on a bold new face for its flagship, but many shoppers see it as overstyled and aggressive. A grille so oversized it looks like it's trying to inhale small children, as one reviewer joked. That works on a performance SUV aimed at extroverts. On a six-figure limousine, it comes across as brash instead of dignified. The market shift has made things worse. In the US, wealthy buyers who once lined up for big sedans are now gravitating to high-riding SUVs, and electric crossovers. Mercedes has kept some of its S-Class audience thanks to a softer design and smoother interior tech experience. BMW's approach has sent those cross-shoppers fleeing. Without a steady stream of new leases and corporate fleets, 7 Series sales have cratered. Inside, the car is still loaded with luxury and technology, but it feels like 3 different versions mashed together: a driver's car, a rolling gadget showcase, and a limousine. Instead of coming off as a confident flagship, it projects indecision. That, combined with a 6-figure price tag and steep depreciation, makes cautious buyers pause. The first model years are already losing tens of thousands on the used market before the first owner even trades in. On dealer lots, the effect is visible. Rows of unsold 7 Series models are quietly aging, their prestige turning into a liability. Salespeople trying to reposition them as rare or special, but the numbers tell another story. This once coveted nameplate has become a slow-motion write-down. For shoppers, the upside is obvious: an opportunity to buy a brand new 7 Series for the price of a mid-size luxury SUV. The downside is equally clear: you're stepping into a model whose resale and relevance are in freefall. Once the standard bearer for BMW luxury, the 7 Series has become an expensive lesson in how quickly a flagship can sink when the market moves on. The 7 Series has shown how a flagship can sink when the market moves on. But what happens when the very model that built BMW's reputation starts to crumble? Number 6. BMW 5 Series. Former bread and butter gone cold. For years, the BMW 5 Series was the heartbeat of the brand. The car that married sharp handling with everyday usability. It built BMW's reputation in America more than any SUV ever did. But the latest generation has lost that magic, and the numbers prove it. Dealers are sitting on a 387-day supply of 3,650 units nationwide collecting dust. At a starting price of around $65,500, this should be an easy sell. Instead, it's becoming a case study in how to squander a sure thing. The trouble began when BMW shifted its focus from driving feel to gadgetry. Touchscreens, voice assistants, light shows, and subscription-based features now dominate the cabin. The famous chassis balance and crisp steering, the very traits that made enthusiasts loyal, have been dulled. The car still accelerates quickly and rides well, but it no longer stands out. Loyalists who used to order a new 5 Series without thinking twice are now either hanging on to older models or shopping elsewhere. Meanwhile, the intended conquest buyers aren't biting. Mercedes E-Class customers still like the elegance and cabin polish of their sedans. Lexus buyers still go for bulletproof reliability and quieter rides. The new 5 Series, positioned as a tech-forward, do-everything executive car, appears to neither camp. It's stuck in no man's land, too sanitized for the faithful, too clinical for luxury shoppers. Compounding the perception problem are safety-critical recalls on steering and braking components. Even though most cars have been repaired, headlines about recalls hit the exact nerves luxury buyers hate: doubt and inconvenience. Momentum that was already shaky is ground to a halt. On the ground, the shift is obvious. In showrooms that once used the 5 Series as a volume leader, salespeople now guide customers toward X3 and X5, the SUVs that pay the bills. Rows of 5 Series sedans sit parked like forgotten inventory, their lease support boosted yet still overlooked. For buyers, it's a strange moment. The chance to get a well-equipped BMW sedan for thousands below sticker, but with the risk of weak resale and fading status. Once the benchmark sports sedan, the 5 Series has become exactly what critics warned about: a car without an audience, overshadowed by the crossover BMW built to complement it. Luxury sedans aren't the only ones bleeding buyers. Even one of the most recognizable small cars on the road is learning that quirkiness no longer sells. Number 5. Mini Cooper hardtop 4-door. Tiny car, big problem. The Mini Cooper was once a fashion statement on wheels. Cheeky styling, go-kart handling, and a dash of British charm. But the 4-door hardtop, meant to broaden its appeal, has turned into a slow seller. Across the US, dealers are carrying a 337-day supply, with 291 cars sitting unsold. at $37,600 to $40,000 before options. This isn't a bargain runabout. It's priced like a compact luxury SUV. Adding 2 extra doors was supposed to solve Mini's biggest hurdle in America: practicality. Instead, it highlighted the mismatch. Even with the stretched wheelbase, interior space is still tight. The cargo room is minimal. When buyers can get a Mazda CX-5, Toyota RAV4, or even a base BMW X1 for similar money, the math is obvious. More space, more comfort, easier resale. The cost of ownership only sharpens the pain. Underneath the cute bodywork sits BMW engineering, which means BMW-level repair and maintenance bills. A small electrical issue that might cost $300 on a Japanese compact can run $1,200 on a Mini. For a car marketed as approachable and fun, that feels like betrayal. People shopping for affordable, quirky transportation don't expect premium brand service invoices. The market around it has also moved on. Americans have embraced small crossovers for their blend of style and utility. The Mini Cooper hardtop 4-door tries to compete with SUVs on price, but can't match them on space or perceived value. Its once unique personality has been diluted by the push to make it more mainstream, yet it still lacks the practicality mainstream buyers demand. Dealers are seeing this firsthand. What used to be an impulse buy for young professionals or empty nesters has slowed to a crawl. Without steady demand, incentives creep up and margins shrink. The car becomes showroom wallpaper while customers drift toward higher profit models. For shoppers, the current situation offers heavy discounts on a car that still handles brilliantly and stands out in traffic. But the flip side is obvious: paying penthouse prices for what is essentially a studio apartment on wheels. Unless Mini reinvents how it positions the hardtop 4-door, it risks becoming another case of once iconic badge out of step with the US market. Charming to look at, but hard to justify at the dealership. If a pint-sized icon can stumble by chasing practicality, imagine what happens when an off-road legend chases a 6-figure price tag. Number 4. Jeep Grand Wagoneer L. 6-figure Jeep misfire. Think of a house that's been on the market for months at an eye-watering price. People stop by, admire the marble floors, then quietly walk out, assuming something went wrong. That's exactly what's happening to the Jeep Grand Wagoneer L. Dealers have a 336-day supply of this SUV, and at an MSRP of $110,000, it's the automotive equivalent of an overpriced mansion nobody wants to close on. Jeep aimed high with this model, an ultra-luxury 3-row flagship to steal buyers from Escalade, Navigator, and even Mercedes GLS. On paper, it checks all the boxes: leather everywhere, huge screens, power everything, and a footprint that dwarfs the original Wagoneer. But in reality, the brand's rugged trail-rated DNA clashes with a 6-figure sticker. Traditional Jeep owners don't want a rolling country club, and luxury buyers hesitate at paying German SUV money for a Jeep badge. Fuel economy adds another strike. The Grand Wagoneer L gulps gas at 14 miles per gallon combined, costing roughly $4,000 a year in fuel alone. At a time when competitors are touting hybrids or at least mid-20s mileage, that number sticks out like a sore thumb. For a family hauler that'll see mostly pavement, the heritage of big engines and off-road capabilities turned from bragging rights into liability. Perception is also powerful in the ultra-luxury space. Vehicles at this price point are supposed to feel exclusive and hard to get. When shoppers see rows of them sitting for nearly a year, discounted but still unsold, it telegraphs a different message. Something's off. That erodes confidence before a test drive ever happens. Dealers quietly admit the uphill battle. While they praise the interior quality and features, they also acknowledge that customers just laugh and buy a German SUV instead. Discounts and incentives are growing, but each one chips away at the aura Jeep hoped to build. For a buyer, the situation creates a strange proposition. On one hand, you can snag a massive, fully loaded luxury SUV at tens of thousands off sticker. On the other, you're stepping into an experiment that hasn't landed, with resale values already sliding. The Grand Wagoneer L proves how hard it is to stretch a rugged brand into the ultra-luxury space, even when the product itself is good. The badge and the market may simply not align. Jeep's six-figure gamble isn't the only Stellantis product collecting dust. Slide down the price ladder and you'll find an even bigger mess waiting at Dodge showrooms. Number 3. Dodge Hornet. Compact crossover catastrophe. Every few years an automaker bets on a sure thing and ends up with a yard full of unsold metal. Right now, that story belongs to the Dodge Hornet. What was supposed to be a sporty, affordable compact crossover has turned into one of the biggest headaches in Stellantis showrooms. Across the US, there's a 327-day supply and an astonishing 12,780 units languishing nationwide. A backlog so large some dealers are stacking them 3 deep in overflow lots. The concept on paper looks solid. Dodge would take the stylish Alfa Romeo Tonale, sold in Europe, tweak the front fascia, add a muscular badge and unleash it in America at a competitive price. Instead, shoppers instantly recognized it as a thinly disguised rebadge and shrugged. The Hornet promised Italian DNA with Dodge attitude, but the end product feels like neither. Pricing only adds to the confusion. Early models carried stickers close to $30,000. Now desperate stores are moving leftover 2023s, cars approaching 2 years old for under $25,000. Even with a punchy 265 horsepower engine that theoretically gives you Corolla money performance, the public isn't biting. Once a vehicle earns a reputation, as an also-ran fire sale pricing can't do it overnight. There's also a branding mismatch. Dodge has built its identity on brash, high-horsepower muscle cars and big trucks. Asking that audience to buy a compact crossover imported from Italy feels like a bait and switch. Meanwhile, buyers who might like a European-flavored crossover can get an actual Alfa Romeo Tonale with more catch-it. The Hornet lands awkwardly between 2 customer groups, appealing strongly to neither. Inside Stellantis stores, the frustration is palpable. Managers have quietly admitted they're moving Hornets at or even below cost just to clear floor plan loans and make space for vehicles that actually sell. Incentives pile up, margins disappear, and the model becomes a liability instead of a launch pad for the brand's future. For shoppers, the picture is mixed. You can snag a nearly new crossover with decent power and modern tech for thousands off MSRP. But you're also stepping into a car with weak demand, uncertain resale, and a cloud over its reputation. If Dodge's rebadge crossover feels like a letdown, what happens when the original Italian brand behind it faces its own meltdown? Number 2. Alfa Romeo Giulia. Italian dream turned nightmare. At first glance, the Alfa Romeo Giulia still turns heads. Low, sculpted bodywork, perfect proportions, and an interior that feels like it came straight off a design sketchpad. This was supposed to be Italy's answer to the BMW 3 Series. Yet behind the showroom glass, it's become a slow-motion retreat. Dealers are sitting on a 323-day supply, with 1,156 cars unsold nationwide, and discounts aren't stopping the slide. The Giulia launch is a fresh-of-breath air in a segment dominated by German sedans. Reviewers gushed about its steering feel and eager chassis. Enthusiasts love the exotic Quadrifoglio variant with its Ferrari-derived engine. But cracks appeared quickly. Reliability issues, warning lights, and roadside breakdowns tarnish the brand's fragile comeback story. At a segment where most buyers value peace of mind as much as performance, even a hint of unreliability can be fatal. The recent decision to pull the high-performance Quadrifoglio from North America signaled to many that Alfa was waving the white flag. Without its halo model drawing enthusiasts into showroom, the standard Giulia loses a key part of its identity. Potential customers take a test drive and admire the way it handles, then walk across the street and sign papers on a Lexus IS, Audi A4, or BMW 3 Series. Those cars may feel less special, but they carry reputations for durability, dealer support, and healthy resale. Price also undermines the appeal. At $55,000 and up, the Giulia isn't a bargain alternative. It's priced nose-to-nose with cars that have far stronger brand equity in the US. Combine that with thin dealer coverage and a small parts network, and the car begins to look risky no matter how seductive the curves. Inside Alfa Romeo stores, the slowdown is obvious. Rows of Giulias sit polished but unmoved, month after month. Salespeople who once pitched them as Italy's sports sedan now struggle to convince cautious shoppers they won't regret the leap. Resale values are already tumbling as the brand's US lineup shrinks, which only deepens buyer hesitation. For enthusiasts, this is bittersweet. A genuinely engaging driver's car trapped in a brand spiral it can't escape. For mainstream buyers, it's a red flag. After Giulia's spiral, you think no other luxury sedan could stumble harder. But our number one pick shows how a flagship can be left to die in plain sight. Number 1. Jaguar XF, British luxury orphan. Once upon a time, the Jaguar XF was the sedan that proved Britain could still duel with Germany. Long hood, lean stance, rich leather cabins. It was the car you bought when you wanted to stand apart from the sea of BMWs and Mercedes. Today, it's become the ultimate cautionary tale. Dealers are sitting on a 315-day supply with 701 cars unsold nationwide. And even $12,000 discounts can't shake them loose. The XF's downfall is part design, part timing. Jaguar has loudly declared an all-electric future, leaving its current gasoline models feeling like an afterthought. Buyers see the XF as an orphan, a luxury sedan with no successor, no clear place in the lineup, and no promise of long-term support. In a market obsessed with SUVs and tech, it's hard to convince someone to spend nearly $60,000 on a car whose own maker is already walking away from it. Then there's the brutal math of depreciation. The XF may carry a premium badge and a handcrafted interior, but its resale value behaves more like a mass-market sedan. In some cases, it's shedding value at twice the rate of German competitors, making leasing tricky and ownership a financial risk. Savvy shoppers know this, and many walk away after a quick look at the used car prices. Inside Jaguar showrooms, the stagnation is visible. Salespeople rotate the same 3 XFs around the floor just to make it look like something's moving. We've had the same cars since the last summer, one dealer admits, and even at these prices no one bites. The discounts make headlines. A $58,500 British luxury sedan for mid-40,000s sounds irresistible, but the long-term cost scares off the very people who would normally pounce. All of this is happening as the segment itself shrinks. Mid-sized luxury sedans are losing ground to crossovers, and without fresh styling, cutting-edge infotainment, or hybrid tech, the XF can't claw back attention. It's no longer the rebellious outsider, it's the leftover. For current owners, the pain is immediate. Plunging resale values, thinning dealer support, and a brand that's clearly moving on. For potential buyers, the warning signs are flashing. The XF may still drive beautifully, quiet, poised, unmistakably British, but in today's market, that isn't enough. From once iconic badges to brand new flops, these aren't just slow sellers, they're warning signs of how fast the auto market can shift. Luxury, heritage, and horsepower mean nothing if buyers lose trust or move on. Click the video on your screen now for our next countdown of vehicles you'll want to think twice about, and subscribe so you don't miss the next Insider Breakdown.